The Masters split of the Formula Trout Hybrid Series. We're currently watching qualifying. Andreas Schilder heading around to start the first flying lap. He just has a few more corners before he does that, and it'll be interesting to see how the lap times of the drivers in this split match up against the drivers in the Challenger split, which has just come to an end. If you saw the Challenger split, you'd have heard the voice of my co-commentator, who is Ross. Sorry, I've forgotten your Ross McIntyre. There we go. Hello, Ross. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Thanks, Caitlin. How are you?
Just going to turn your volume up quickly. I'm not sure how well they heard that, but yeah, I'm okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Do you want me to repeat that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
I said I'm good. Thanks, Caitlin. How are you?
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm okay as well. Yeah, just had your volume a little low there, but that's something I've been able to sort out. Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. I'm very much looking forward to this brand new series. Formula Trout always knows how to host an event, and yeah, we're about to see one of those. Considering that you commentated the challenge split, what do you think we can take from the race we've just seen, and what are your expectations for the race that's coming up?
Well, we saw in the Challenger split. It was all really about managing the tyres. The track temperature is super hot. It's 45 degrees on the surface of the track. So it's all about really what tyre you qualify on. Obviously, the top 10 have to start the race on the tyres they qualified on. So whether you're willing to start on a softer tyre and sacrifice that tyre degradation early on in the race, or whether you're willing to maybe drop a few grid stops for what's perhaps a better race tyre. So yeah, all about how well you can manage the tyres and how well you can really keep it on the road. Traction was a really big problem, especially at the slower corners. So turn one, especially getting the power down. We saw a lot of drivers spin out there. So I think that's going to be how you're going to win the race is manage your tyres and pretty much stay on the road.
It's fascinating because I was just speaking to Maximilian Younger, who's going to be driving in this race, and he was telling me how it's actually better to be on the harder compounds of tyre, and he actually prefers the harder compounds of tyre himself. But you have to get track position in qualifying. Track position is also very important, especially in cars with as much downforce as this. And as a result, it's going to be so difficult to find a balance in terms of the strategy and in terms of what you elect to do. And often it may be about sacrificing grid position for strategic flexibility, but you really don't want to do that because, again, that puts you out of track position. But anyway, Andreas Schilder, his opening lap was very, very good. It's the top time that we've got so far, 127.002, which is only 6 thousandths of a second ahead of Tim Omlu. Amazing lap from Omlu there. And Max Younger is currently third place. How does that match up against the laps we saw in Challenger, Russ?
The top two have already matched the Challenger split pole time, so that's bear in mind we are a few minutes into qualifying at most. Track evolution hasn't come in at all, so it's definitely something to watch out for. We are going to see those times absolutely tumble, and it just shows the pure ability of those at the top here in the Masters split. They are just so fast. It's borderline insane, I'd say. It's ridiculous. I can't actually quite wrap my head around it. So yeah, so the fact that they're matching the Challenger split pole time already, so I'd expect to see definitely 26s, perhaps even a very high 25 come the end of qualifying.
Well, Andreas Schilder rather, we already know that he's extremely quick. He won last year's series and didn't even bother to show up for some of the last races because he'd already absolutely wrapped it up, and there was nothing anyone else could do about him. So yeah, quite a season he had, and he's looking to start it off on the right foot again with that pole time he set on his first split. He's gone back into the pits, and of course that is because you can't escape out on track and go back out again. It's against the rules. You have to come back into the pits before you do so, and it looks as if he's immediately gone out for another outlap, so not satisfied just yet. Often you do see people kind of waiting in the pits for the middle part of the session. The track is usually at its best towards the end of the session, but of course in Assetto Corsa you don't have the same level of rubber being put down and track evolution as you do in some other simulators. So it does make sense that Schilder would go for it right away, and I expect more what he will be looking for is clean air on the track, and finding a place where other drivers aren't, if that makes sense. I'm currently watching Paul Magzai coming out of the final corner to complete what will be his first flying lap, and he goes 5th, not bad at all, and it's exactly the same lap as Alex Cochran there, very close for a P5. Ross, we have over 20 cars now which have set at least outlaps on this server. This is a proper grid we're seeing.
Yep, certainly is. The Trout grid, the Challenger grid, should I say, wasn't quite as full as this. This is very much a full house. Got 28 cars here, or 26, should I say, and then the 2 Mercedes, me and you have shall we?
Sorry, Ross, you're kind of cutting out there, but anyway, as you speak,
if that changes anything.
Yeah, sorry, you were kind of cutting out. David Halligan's just gone to 5th place. Nice gold ball on the side of that Octane car there, and that is a newly branded car. Just pulling off the line, so he's not on another flying lap. Let's watch someone who is Carlos Camanis, I think, is on an outlap. 22nd, again showing you just how many drivers we have in this field today. Andreas Schilder again improves on his time, and he had to because Oscar Williams went to the top very briefly, 126.862, and look at that. And up to second is Christoph Berzer. So Christoph Berzer up to second, and less than 0.2 of a second behind Schilder. It could be close for the lead here. The Griffin Gaming car, of course, Griffin Gaming, last season's team's champion. Are looking strong again with their cars 1 and 2. Oh, never mind. Tim Onley 2nd place for us.
Yeah, it's all very, very close here at the time. We've still got 9.5 minutes left this qualifying session. It's still 2 tenths covering the top 3 drivers.
Yeah, Ross, I think you may be having some technical issues today because you keep cutting out. So I don't think that's on my end, but anyway. Sorry, Alex Cochran just improved P8 again, and he has gone. Actually, I'm not sure if he did improve because he's just gone straight back to the pits. So I think that wasn't quite accurate. Columba Crucifier now goes up to P7. And yeah, the times continuing to tumble. Let's keep watching Max Hammerling. In fact, let's ride on board since we haven't. Oh, well, there was a driver's eye view. Let's go here so you can see more of the track. Kind of a TV camera pod point of view. As you see the beautiful slick tyres, very wide front tyres, actually slightly wider than they are on a real Formula 1 car, I believe. Down into turn 10, the corner that I swear changes number every year, and then up through a thrillingly fast section of sweepers. You have to get all the way out onto the curb there, but don't touch it, because if you touch the curb, it can kind of drag the car away. Same goes for the top of the hill, and Hammerling almost demonstrating that, using all of the curb and then some on the exit as well. And then you have a final corner, which counts technically as 2 final corners. And this is actually probably my favourite corner on the track, just because of how the car feels as you let it run. And that was a very, very fast lap from Max Hammerling. He goes to the top of the times, 126.262, and that is the way to do it, Russ. Okay, Ross still having some issues. I wonder if there's another power outage or whatever. Russ had one of those in the Challenger split, so I wouldn't be entirely surprised. Sorry about that, but anyway, I'm still here. Alex Cochran about to, I believe that's an outlap he's on, because you can tell, yeah, almost 2 minutes there. So that's an outlap in the Nova Finlandia car, and that does mean that we get to watch an entire lap from the perspective of Alex Cochran. Very Williams looking livery on that car. Of course, Cochran and his teammate hoping to have more success than the real life Williams Grand Prix team has been having in recent years, I'm afraid to say. But yeah, 3/10 down in the first sector. That's 3/10 down on the leader, meaning he could still be up on his time depending on how he's doing compared to Max Hammerlink. Jordi Lauer is now up to P6, so that's a change in the top 10. Some of the drivers up the front of that field are drivers that we'd expect, like Andreas Schilder, but then you have Tim Omlu, who struggled a little in the Formula 3 Sprint Series earlier this season, and that will be a breath of fresh air for him to find himself that far up the order. Paul Magza now improves in P8 as well. Let's watch what Cochran does. Driver's getting out of the way of him, heading down towards the final corner, and Cochran puts the power down. You see the split on the bottom right, and it's an improvement. It's P8 for Alex Cochran, not bad at all. Very, very good, in fact. Miss Reese there starting a lap just behind. Reese is currently, as Halligan goes 10th, Reese is currently not in the top 20, so this is either his first flying lap or a driver attempting to improve on what he already had. Andreas Schilder once again, fastest of anyone, 126.020. Could anyone get into the 125s here? That would be quite something. If anyone can, Schilder and Hammerlink are your prime candidates. But again, they'd have already been right on the limit there. So it's a case of being better than perfect. MS Reese has been looking pretty sturdy on this lap so far. Let's see what his split says. Oh! Now that's a lag spike, that's not an accident you've just seen. And I think that I may have lost connection to the server. Either that
It's happened to me as well, Caitlin. I think we've got another server problem on our hands here.
Yep, that's another server crash then. Connection issue, there you go. So a very similar thing happened in the Challenger split, where everyone was forced to disconnect towards the end of the race, and they ended up finishing it 1 lap premature. And I think the same or a very similar issue has happened with qualifying here. So I think we are going to probably go to a black screen and take a break, and we will be back when this is all sorted out. Our apologies about this. Hello everyone, welcome back to Bahrain. Apologies about that, nothing that we could do as the broadcast team. That was a problem with the server, and there was some kind of server crash, and what's going on now is we're trying to get everyone back into the server so we can do a 10-minute qualifying session, I believe. The track will be set to 100% grip, as Max Hemmelink currently is not demonstrating, and then the qualifying, or the results from that short qualifying session will determine the grid order. I would like you all to, I'm not a superstitious person, but I would like you all to cross your fingers and touch wood with both hands and feet, just so that we can actually get a race today, and we don't end up with server issues partway through that as well. But yeah, now that I've mentioned it, I probably cursed it since I am, of course, a commentator. The short practice session that they've put up to get everyone in has just come to a close, meaning that we... Okay, I just saw someone disconnect from the server and I was panicking that everyone had. But yeah, it means that we're about to get going for qualifying attempt number 2. And at least that first qualifying session, which is going to act more like a practice now, has given us some insights into who to look for and who's going to be quick or whatnot. It looked as if it was going to be Andreas Schilder versus Max Hemmelink, Oscar Williams, and Tim Onlu, the top 4. Of course, there is definitely a possibility that other drivers may get involved in that as well. But if someone is going to get into those 125s now that we're on 100% grip, the chances are it's going to be one of those top drivers, and of course, the most likely of those is Andreas Schilder. But, you know, race aren't one on paper. But anyway, Russ, welcome back. What are you looking forward to about this session
issues
and
again?
this race?
Could you just repeat that, please? I appear to be having connection issues again.
Oh no! I said welcome back, Russ. You doing okay still?
Yeah, I'm just about. I think the server crashings it took a deep toll on my mental state, but apart from that, I'm good. What about you?
It's irritating. Yeah, I'm okay still, thanks. I was
Yeah,
just
that's good to
saying,
hear.
it must be frustrating for a driver. It must give a driver a heart attack when they're, just about to win a race or just about to set the quickest qualifying lap of their life or whatever, and then suddenly it's just pop, they're back in the pits, and there's server issues or whatever. Because at first, surely they don't know, whether it's a server issue or whether it's just them or whether
It's not it's not a nice feeling.
yeah. I've had it happen, but never while leading a race or
Get a
whatever.
message saying you've been disqualified. It's not enjoyable. I can certainly vouch for that.
There appears to be some impromptu rapping going on in the chat right now. That's interesting. And we're into a qualifying session now. It's interesting that we appear to have the full 18 minutes on the timer, and I was told that there was only going to be 10 minutes, so I am a little worried. Okay, so we've got skip session voting in progress. That's interesting. Now I don't know whether that was someone clicking the wrong button or whatever. Yeah, not passed. Right. So bear with us here. We're going to have to try to figure it out as we go along. There are two possibilities here. Either we are going to be doing the full session again, the full 18 minutes, or it's going to run 10 minutes and then they're going to skip straight to the race with whichever order they have at the time. I presume that they're just going to let it run now that it's up. But we're not sure. It's all a little up in the air right now. I haven't seen a qualifying session restarted like that for a while, and I've never seen it happen with Formula Trout. So how they do it will potentially be different to other leagues, and yeah, I guess we'll just have to commentate on what we see. But anyway, the first driver to start a flying lap is going to be Irmas Reese. He is heading around in that GRG Esports car, and when he crosses the line, he will have a clear track to himself. Now let's ride on board again, just to get another view of the Bahrain International Circuit. And show you what these drivers will be seeing. Now he's got to put the power down. There we go. Little slow through the final corner, but often you do wait until the latest possible opportunity to put the power down, just to keep those rear tyres intact. Turn 1 is a tight hairpin, and it doesn't quite feel like a hairpin because you level the car out for these sweepers on the exit. Both of those are flat out. Turn 4 at the top of the hill is very fast. It's a lot faster than it should be because of how tight the corner is. It's also very wide, so it's wide from the inside of the track to the outside, and that allows you to carry more speed than you would be able to on other corners of that angle. Down the hill there is a little bit of an elevation change here, and that makes it difficult to brake because of course the gravity is carrying you forwards, and you often see drivers locking up tyres into that. And here are the sweepers that I was telling you about earlier with those dangerous curves. Race not using the full track there, but often that is the safer way of getting around. Whoa! And talking of safe, that isn't safe. Has to abandon that lap, get off the line before someone else comes through, and Oscar Williams will now be the first driver to set a competitive qualifying time. Down towards the final corner in the Aero International Vermin Art liveried car, and he comes into the pits, so Williams will not be the first driver to set a lap. It will be Dave Southwood who crosses the line, and Southwood's time somehow slower than Williams's, despite Williams coming into the pits. So, okay, looks like Williams was so fast that, well, that raises the question of why did Williams come into the pits? Because if he was so fast that he set the fastest time even when backing off, raises the question of why he backed off. Maybe he didn't put enough fuel in the car or whatever. Strange one. But anyway, Williams heading straight back out again. What do you make of that,
It would have been a
Russ?
hell of a lap. Yeah, it would have been a hell of a lap if he'd have completed it. Sorry for just cutting across you there, Kevin. But
okay.
Yeah, if he's instead of 1:26.9, which is already faster than the Challenger split pole.
Yeah.
If he set that and he's come into the pits, and we have started this on 100% grip, just to make up for the lost time during the server crash. But if that's the kind of lap times we're going to be seeing, that is phenomenal stuff from these master split drivers.
Well, the timing line's not that far after the pit entry line, but he would have been, slowing down to pit entry speed before the timing line, so he'd have lost, a good half a second in that. So Oscar Williams is going to be a driver to look out for. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Imagine if a driver ended up taking pole in the pit lane, Michael Schumacher style pole position. I'm of course referencing Silverstone 98 or 99. Paul Magsa looks like he's coming into the pits too. So a lot of drivers going out and then immediately coming back in again. Some of them before they've set competitive laps. Here's Max Younger. He's going to be completing a time, and that puts him second. Still not as fast as Williams. Goodness me. But yeah, Younger goes P2 in that. Who else should we? Who else should we watch use on a lap potentially? David Ball is on a time. Interesting livery there. I like the deep blue of his helmet. I'm not so sure about the green and how that interacts with the other colours, but I am no professional livery designer. Down the straight goes the back straight goes David Ball. Quite a short back straight at this circuit, but it is a legitimate back straight in the way that it connects to not connects to the front straight, but it's almost perfectly parallel to that front straight. And this looks like an outlap for Ball, because looking at the time, he's a long way off. Let's look at Williams, because Williams is actually on a time now, and I am very, very curious to see what he can do with a completed lap time. I've been told by the Vermin Art team boss that you can absolutely hammer it into the pits, and where the timing line is actually won't cost you any time, but you will still see a massive lock up into the pit slot. Yeah, that makes sense, but he's still... I'm not convinced. Anyway, we'll see. Oscar Williams coming through the final turn, and I expect he will probably go Into the pits again. Okay. Now that's... Yeah, and he's going faster again. Now that's an interesting... I'm wondering whether this is strategy for Williams, because...
Yeah, this is fuel saving, I think. I think he's figured out he can save himself a lap's worth of fuel if he dives into the pit. That is so smart.
Almost Reese there going to the top, 126.56, and Max Hemmerlink immediately beating it. Hemmerlink goes to the top. Omlu is 4th. I'm expecting Omlu to go even quicker because we saw that he could be in the last session. But that is so smart from Oscar Williams. I think we finally figured out what he's up to. What's actually happening is that he's hammering it into the pits. I'm not even sure that he's slowing down for the timing line, and that's legal because I presume it only gives you a penalty if you actually go through the pit, if you actually exit the pits, having been above the speed limit. So I expect what's happening is he's going full speed into the pits, and then escaping when he's in his pit box, and then immediately going back out again. That's yeah. Saves him time, saves him fuel, saves him all sorts. That's really clever. Anyway, Andreas Schilder now to the top, 126.007. Surely he's gonna get into the 125s here. He's got to, right?
I'm sure he must. I mean, these guys are already in the low 126s. This is, we've got 10 minutes to go. Well, this is supremely fast from these guys. It's ridiculous.
Paul Magza, P5. I'm trying to look for someone who looks like they're on a lap. Yodi Lawis is really pushing it there, but he's got traffic and he's had a bit of a twitch as well. And a lot of these drivers will be pushing to just kind of get back to the pits. So just because they're flying doesn't necessarily mean that they're on a timed lap. Christoph Berzer, he is surely a driver who can go a lot faster than this, because we saw that he was one of the top drivers in the first session. But yeah, so far, after the first 5.5 minutes of timed laps, Andreas Schilder is at the top, followed by Hammerlink, Reese, Williams, and Magsa. Almost Reese, that is significantly faster than he went in session 1, unless I am not remembering that. Who's that in P10? V. Mochalenko. Now I don't know what V stands for because it's not listed here, so I'm going to have a quick look at the entry list to see who that is. But yeah, Mochalenko in the top 10 for the first time, and he wasn't someone who was featuring in the... what car is that? Sim Solution... okay. Sorry, just trying to actually figure out who that is. Christoph Berzer there does go into the top 10. And that's an improvement for him. Dave Brave starting a lap, Mixer Mortiferum. So a couple of drivers improving as they come across the line. Mags are into the pits. You can, Zomlu uses a lot of track on the entry there. I don't know how strict the stewards are going to be about that. Max Younger up to P4. But yeah, you can go out again, only if you come back into the pits via driving in. And I'm still trying to... I'm struggling to figure out who Mochalenko is, because he is not on the... No, I'm looking at the wrong entry list, aren't I? Yes, I am. Okay. I'll figure it out eventually. Sorry, mind occupied. Vladislav Mochalenko, there you go. Vladislav Mochalenko driving for the AFP Eagles team alongside Stein Prince. So that's the driver that we were looking at previously. Currently looking at Tim Omlu. I think Omlu may be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. 7 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Schilder at the top still. And Omlu has a big impact. Look at that. Now, can he make it back to the pits, or is he going to have to escape? Because that's going to make... Well, okay, it looks like he's going to... Looks like he's going to try to make it back to the pits, and he has the advantage of having only hit with the front, which should save him suspension damage and all sorts, but that was a big hit from Omlu there. Again, you need to make it back to the pits if you're going to have another chance at setting a lap here. Thanks to thanks to Jack Smith, who just sent me the correct spotter's guide for this race. I really appreciate that, and yeah, thank you very much, Jack. And also, who actually, I'm trying to remember who made that spotter's guide in the first place. I think it may have been Alex Heenanen. So thank you to Alex as well. The spotter's guide I'm looking at looks absolutely fantastic. Max Hammerlink goes to second in the, well, I think he was already second, but he improved. So it's a 1:26.314 for Hammerlink there. Oscar Williams.
Schilder's on a lap here. Schilder's on a lap coming into the last corner. We could see a 25 here.
Yep, let's watch this. Andreas Schilder out of the final corner, over the curbs, and across the line. Looks like he's about to... Oh, look at that! 125.921. He is the first driver into the 125s. He's over a second faster than the Challenger qualifiers, and that is exactly how you do it there. Andreas Schilder, the fastest driver by quite some margin, Russ.
That is phenomenal. I mean, I don't have anything to say. A 25.9 is, see, as he spins for good measure on the exit of turn 4 in his in lap. But yeah, that is an absolutely phenomenal lap from Andreas Schilder. You know, he's in the 25. He's got provisional foul by 0.4 of a second. He's the only man in the 25s. It's just phenomenal. It's phenomenal stuff. I just had to bring to attention before we go back to you that in the challenge split, a lot of what we saw was a lot of differentiation on the tyre strategies. You know, you had different drivers qualifying on different tyres. So the only driver who's on a different tyre is Christoph Turner, who's on the C3 compound. Everybody else is on the C4s. So that's.
Well, Turner currently P11 on the slightly harder
just
tyre
something to keep an eye on. Yeah.
Sorry for speaking over you cut out there, but anyway, yeah, Christoph Turner, P11, and that's a good position to be starting on that tyre, because it shows that he has a lot more pace than he's showing. It's almost like holding your cards close to your chest in a poker game, but yeah, it also means that he has the flexibility of an alternate strategy in the race. And I commentate some other leagues where if you start as younger there, I think backs out of his lap, does he? Yes, so that's no improvement for him. Amos Rees, I'm really impressed by him so far, but he is also not quite on a lap right now. But yeah, sorry. No, what I was trying to say there was I commentate some other leagues where the top 10 are locked into their tyre compounds, and from 11th and lower they're not, meaning that everyone tends to qualify on the softs, but then of course it's the drivers from P11 down who have the flexibility of the alternate strategy. And what you often see in that league is that P11 tends to be a better starting position than P8, 9, 10, sometimes even P7, because the alternate strategy is just so powerful. You can jump ahead of those guys. So track position is very effective, but it's not everything. And if Turner can get his strategy right, then he can really benefit from that and jump well up the field. So Columba Crucifier now into the top 10. And another thing to point out actually is that even if the other drivers wanted to change their strategy now, for many of them it may not be possible because they would need to go quicker than their soft tyre runs on a harder compound of tyre, which is very, very difficult. Oscar Williams about to start his final flying lap, and I think that he can probably go faster than this. Williams recently finished P2 in he won the sprint series, the Formula 3 sprint series. Sorry to Oscar there. Had an amazing battle with Arti Nieminen, and Nieminen scored more points than Oscar, but Oscar ended up winning the championship due to the drop score system, and did an amazing job to be that consistent all the way through. So Williams, we know that he's one of the best drivers in the league. Took 4 pole positions in a row in that, and as a result, obviously not a slouch around a singular lap either. and the Vermin racing car driver is about to show us what he can do. Andreas Schilder is still out there on a lap, so even if someone did go faster than him, he may be able to improve again. But we're into the dying stages of this qualifying session now, meaning that when the timer ticks to 0, that will be it. That will be each driver's final opportunity to improve. And it's now or never. Max Hemmerling goes on a 1:26.242, so improves, but stays second, and it looks if he is, yep, he's gone back to the pit, so that's the best that Hemmerling can do. He will start second at best. Williams now goes up to P4, so Williams will start on the second row at best, and he backs off, so Williams will not be able to go any quicker than that. Let's see what other drivers can do. Ermas Rees, Paul Magzire, they're both still out on track. What's Magzire's first sector like? It's 2 tenths down on the leader, but the leader is Andreas Schilder, and Magzire only needs to be better than his personal best. I reckon he's still probably on course for that. It's all to do with what he can do in the second and third sectors here, and how quick he is compared to the drivers ahead of him as well, in terms of whether he's actually going to jump up a position or not. DRS wide open. There's two. Is there 2 DRS zones, or is there 3 on the circuit?
I believe there's 3. They're up the
yeah.
front stretch, the back stretch, and then the second straight as well.
Thank you for that, Russ.
No worries.
Max, okay, 4 tenths down from Schilder in the second sector. He could well still be up on his lap because there's 7 tenths per second separating him and Schilder. The checkered flag is out and waiting for these drivers. Magzire through the final corner, using all of the track and more, and it is an improvement, is it? Yes, it is. He jumps ahead of Williams, goes to the second row on the grid. What can Ermas Rees do? He's still on a lap. Turn 10, sliding the car out, and a bit too much. Yes, he backs off. So Rees makes a mistake, and he is not going to improve. Tim Omlu into the pits, backs off, no improvement. Joseph Coate is the last driver currently in the top 10 who is still on a lap, and I'm actually not sure if he is still on the lap, or whether he has crossed the finish line already. Looks if he's not full chat through there, so he's not going to be improving. Can Dave Southwood get into the top 10 potentially? He's actually further back on the road than Coate was, so if Coate wasn't on the lap, then Southwood may not be either. I'm starting to wonder whether the qualifying session is already over. But yeah, Andreas Schilder, we can very comfortably say, will be starting on pole position here, over 3 tenths per second faster than any other driver. And that is... he's in a class of his own, Andreas Schilder, just as he was pretty much all of last season. And as suspected, he was pretty much unbeatable, the only driver to complete the circuit in under 1:26, and he will line up alongside Max Hemmerling and ahead of Ermas Rees and Paul Magzire. Then it's Oscar Williams, Maximilian Younger, David Halligan, Tim Omlu, Joseph Coate, Jordi Lauweis, the top 10. The top 8 within a second of each other, so it may not have been close for pole, but it was relatively close between 2nd and 9th positions. Dave Southwood, P11, then it's Connor Pelkmans, Columba Crucifier, Christoph Berzer, Mixer Mortiferum, Christoph Turner, and Turner on the C4 tyre in the end, so I believe he did go out on the C4s, and I wonder whether... Oh no, now it's updated to C3s, that's weird. Vladislav Mochilenko is P17, then it's Alex Cochran, Dave Brave, Stein Prince, Simon Benoit, Cyprian Stoyan, Badr Al-Babalal, and Carlos Skamanis and David Bull round out the field. So 25 drivers set qualifying times there. That is a huge competitive grid, and great to see everyone here. Thank you all for showing up. But yeah, what do you make of that incredible lap there from Andreas Schilder, Russ?
I mean, he's the only man in the 25s, which in itself kind of tells you what an achievement that was. 3 tenths up on Max Hammerlink in P2. It's, I know, on his last lap as well, it wasn't even his final lap which got that. He bailed out of his final lap. It's just phenomenal. It's over a second quicker than the pole time for the Challenger split. Simply phenomenal stuff.
And one of the things that's really caught my attention about it is that...
it's nothing to be quick over 37.
And one of the things that caught my attention about it is that only Hammerlink and Reese were within half a second of Schilder, so he is very much going to be the driver to beat today. Do you think that anyone can beat him? And I guess who else do you want to look out for in this race, Russ?
I mean, I think, anybody within that top bracket has a chance. And, we saw in the have issues, and, these cars have 1,000 horsepower. They weigh a little over 700 kilos. The power to weight ratio is insane. So, it could be anyone. It could be at the back of the grid. There could be a massive crash at the first corner. We simply don't know what's going to happen. We just got to wait and see.
I like to explain two things first and foremost. First of all, to Ross, if I talk over you at any point, it's not that I'm trying to, it's that you're cutting out a little. But anyway, and second of all, an explanation for why you see two massive Mercedes GT3s at the back of the field. Those are not racing, and thank goodness for that. That would be a crazy multi-class event. Those are simply the cars that have to be in the session so that you can see the cameras that you're witnessing right now, and those will be withdrawn from the circuit as soon as the race begins. So Ross, make sure that you withdraw yours as well.
Don't worry, I'm on it.
Good. I forgot to do that once and got a race red flagged. Okay, 6 red lights, and when they go out, we'll be underway for 37 laps of the Bahrain International Circuit, and it's going to be Andres Schilder at the front of the field. Here we go. And go down to turn 1 they go, and it's a good start for Schilder. Of course it is. He's perfect at everything. Covers off Max Hammerlink's still there, but it's Schilder. Oh, Schilder's off. Look at that. Schilder running very wide, and he's going to be under attack. Hammerlink takes the lead. So a mistake from Schilder, runs off at turn 1. Hammerlink takes the lead. Mas Reese is going for it. Mas Reese on the outside, and Hammerlink has the inside. That's where he wants to be. Hammerlink can dictate when to turn in for the next corner. And Reese sweeps around the outside and leads the race. That's crazy. Mas Reese leading the race. Dave Southwood rounding out the field. It looks as if it was a completely clean start. That's good to see. But what a crazy getaway. Schilder's down to 5th. Schilder's down to 5th place, running slightly wide at turn 10. He's been passed by Reese, Hammerlink, Magzire, and Williams. Goodness me. Jordi Lauwers ahead of Joseph Cote there, change of position for P7. But yeah, what do you make of that, Russ? Do you think what's Schilder? Oh, and a look up from Younger. He almost ran into the back of Schilder there. Crazy start, Russ. Oh, but never mind. Look at that. Jordi Lauwers in the wall. Jordi Lauwers lost it from P7. He's bounced off the barriers, and he's now got to wait for the entire field to go through. Sorry that I keep trying to hand over to you and then cutting away, but it's just far too crazy to switch away from. Jordi Lauwers will have damage from that surely, and he will round out the pack. Schilder is alongside Max Younger. He's going to lose another place, is he? Because Younger's on the inside line, while Schilder is able to put the power down on the outside of turn 1 there. Younger runs slightly over the white lines. Christoph Burz has just broken into the top 10. It's Reese, Hammerlink, Magzire, Williams, Schilder, the top 5 at the end of the opening lap of the race. Through the S's again they head. Reese now has a 1 second lead ahead of Hammerlink, and Schilder running over the white lines again, locking up the tyres. He is going to be passed by Younger if he's not careful. This is crazy. What do you think's going on with Schilder here, Russ?
Well, I honestly don't have a clue. We saw a similar thing in the Challengers Split with Agnes Retiz. Just at the start of the race, just not going his way. Obviously, Schilder got an absolute rocket ship start, and now just since then he's been falling down the other. He's not on a different tyre compound. He qualified on the C4s. He started on the C4s. It's not like he's on the C3s or the C2s. I have no idea what's going on through Schilder's head. Maybe he's just had a bad first lap mentally, or he's just not hit his marks. Maybe the nerves is creeping in. I'm not too sure. Maybe we'll just have to see what he can do. He sits in 5th place. He'll have to fight his way up. Ernest Reese still leads.
Well, I was told... look at that. Alex Cochran off. So that's another Nova Finlandia car. 2 of them have gone off in the same corner 2 laps in a row. But anyway, as I was about to say, I was told by Max Younger that it's really difficult to get temperature into the tyres here and to get the tyres to work and grip. And Schilder obviously not being able to do so as well as his opponents on the opening few laps of the race. Ran wide at turn 1, got passed by not 1, not 2, but 4 drivers, and now he's coming back at Oscar Williams up the inside, and Schilder locks a tyre, almost runs into Williams. Williams sees him coming though. Schilder through to 4th, that's his first manoeuvre. He's got 3 to go if he's going to break back into the lead, the position where he feels that he will rightfully be on pace. Locks up a tyre again though, needs to stop doing that. Andreas Schilder P4, only 1 second behind Luke Magsaer, but of course it's one thing to follow a car and another to get past them, especially considering this certainly has not been a flawless race. Oh, and look at that, another mistake, and it's Joseph Coat this time who's been passed by Pelkman. So Pelkman's through to P7 and Halligan through to P8. It looks as if Coat just got slightly squirrely on the exit of turn 10. And Christoph Berzer looking all over the tail of him as well. And Kurt was a little ill-advised to try to keep his nose alongside Halligan through the faster corners over the crest of the hill. And Berzer is right alongside him. And I'm not sure that Kurt knew there was even a car's width there. There wasn't. Rees now sets the first lap of the race as he continues to extend his lead. And Berzer goes through to 9th. Great move from Christoph Berzer there.
Yep, great move indeed. These opening few laps have been absolutely crazy. We've had people firing it off, we've had people spinning out, overtakes galore, and so we can get that more of that over the entire race.
Williams and Younger went side by side into turn 1, and Younger had to back out of it. These two were teammates in the sprint series, but here in the hybrid series, racing for different squads, and Younger backing out of it before they came together. As a change for P10, Tim Onlu now in the top 10 ahead of Joseph Coat, who continues to drop down the order. Schilder is now almost on the back of Paul Magsaer, so may be about to make a move there. And this is his first real opportunity. Lock up from Williams and Younger slightly, but they get away with it. And you watch the field, the massive field of 25 cars streaming down the back straight. I expect traffic's probably going to become a bit of an issue towards the end of this race. It's only 37 laps, not a Grand Prix length distance, but it is a relatively short track, less than a minute and a half to complete when you do it right, and as a result, I expect there may still be traffic. Right, let's watch Schilder as they go down the start-finish straight this time. He's going to have the DRS. It'll open wide on the back of that Griffin racing car. And he approaches the podium positions. Magsaer sees him in his mirrors. And you can't see the head glance, but I expect... Ooh, a Younger go... Oh, that's close. That's very, very close there. Williams will keep the inside line. So Williams stays 5th, but Younger had another look exactly where he did a lap ago. And now he goes to the outside of turn 4. And... oh my goodness. Ah, well, you couldn't fit a cigarette paper between them. And Younger runs over the white lines and has to concede. You can go around the outside there, but not when you're that wide. You need to have your nose and your front wheels ahead of your opponent. Otherwise, the corner very much belongs to them. So Younger still not quite able to get through, but he has been the feistiest driver in the past few laps. Let's have a look at David Halligan quickly. He is right on the back of Joseph Coat here, and he's in the difficult position of attack or be attacked, because this is a chain with Coat leading from Halligan, then Mochalenko, Berzer, Mortiferum, and Brave and Turner, and then Crucifer as well. Goodness me, they just keep coming, don't they? And Schilder now back on the tail of Luke Magsaer as they are about to get back into the DRS range, Russ.
Yeah, this is one hell of a train we've got going on here. I mean, we've obviously got the lead pack, which is broken away, and then we've kind of got a few stragglers in the midfield, and then we've got this just absolute sequence of cars. Joseph Coat leading the way out of them at the moment in P11, or he was in P11 according to my timing screen. He's now in P9, so I assume there may be a few pit stops going on.
No, Halligan's made a big mistake. He lost 3 seconds on that last lap, and he's down to P10. And what was the... Oh, Okay, sorry, I may be getting a little confused with the order then, but anyway, here comes Crystal Berzer up the inside. Oh no, and he's hit David Halligan, look at that! And around goes Berzer and Halligan, and oh my goodness, and Mochalenko slotted right between the two of them. My goodness, Mochalenko could not have got much closer, and some pretty good avoiding driving there, but basically what happened was that Berzer tried to pass Mochalenko and overshot it and ended up hitting the car ahead of Mochalenko and sending Halligan into a spin as off goes Columba Crucifier. That is extremely wide there. Almost ended up in Qatar or whatever's in that direction, but anyway, Dave Southwood coming through into P4, actually not quite, but anyway, yeah, chaos up the front, and Schilder now is right on the tail of Magsa. He's within half a second for the first time since he lost a position to Magsa, and with the DRS here, this is going to be, if not an overtake, it's going to be very close. Surely Magsa has to go defensive. He doesn't. Andreas Schilder will be up the inside, and that is relatively easy there. Andreas Schilder through to third place, back onto the podium. He's getting it back here, Russ.
He is indeed. Obviously, he's had that first lap, which was far from ideal, but back up into P3. There is a bit of a gap to Hammerlink and Reese up the top, but obviously Schilder set that ludicrous pole lap. I'm sure he's got the pace to get there. It's just how long it takes him.
So Halligan came into the pits incidentally at the end of that last lap. I'm not hugely surprised. He was absolutely clobbered, and I'm afraid that will be, if not his race over, it'll be his competitive showing in this race over, and a big shame since it was not his fault at all. Not sure if everyone's still running in this race. Let's have a quick check of that actually. Just a quick check up on everyone. See if they're still running. Skamanis is, Lawais is. Okay, so looks as if we still got all 25 cars. Some of them have been into the pits, and incidentally, up the front, Max Hammerlink is now within a second of Irma's Reese again. So Reese, who still holds the fastest lap of the race, was not able to break away for that long. And Max Hammerlink is right back in the fray now. So there's a fight for the lead. His last lap, 0.7 of a second almost faster than Reese. And look in the background now, we've got Williams attacking Magsa as well. So Magsa has lost one place and he's vulnerable to the other as Williams goes through on the inside just as Schilder did a lap ago. Magsa not looking, oh look at that, going right back around the outside of Williams there. So Williams slightly overshot it, and now Younger's going to go through as well as he. Look at this, Younger to the outside, and it's last of the late breakers, and it goes to Williams. But as I was going to say, Magsa doesn't look hugely confident into turn one. He doesn't tend to go defensive even when someone is coming through like an express train. But Oscar Williams there ended up making a mistake and giving it right back, and actually that'll give Magsa some breathing space here because there's a second between them. So yeah, Ross, when are we expecting the first few pit stops? When did they occur in the Challenger split?
Well, the Challenger, well, to be fair, the C.
Russ, I think we're going to have to come back to that because look at Max Hammerlink. Hammerlink up well, he's alongside him even before the final corner. That's a rare place to go side by side, and he's compromised both of their exits, but let's see who was compromised more. Hammerlink goes to the inside, almost right up against the pit wall. He has the DRS open. He will have the overspeed. They're almost rubbing wheels, Senna and Mansell style, and Hammerlink takes the lead. No, he doesn't. Look at that. Reese brakes really, really late. That is far later than I thought it possible, and he's kept, my goodness, Irma's Reese, this is the best I've ever seen him drive, and Max Hammerlink had nothing to say about that braking there. Meanwhile, Omlu is up into 7th, but yeah, Irma's Reese there, amazing defending, Ross.
Yeah, great defense there. It's been I mean, it was incredible to see them both coming off the last corner, and the squeeze against the wall reminded me of a Schumacher and Barrichello at Hungary 2010 and F1 when Schumacher ran Rubens Barrichello right up against the wall when there was nearly a crash. Could have been a similar situation there, but they managed to run away with it. Both of them still running, but yeah, it's a bit of a crazy race going on here at the moment.
Oh, and Magziah Williams and Younger still, oh my goodness, weaving around. There's a proper dogfight going on there on the straight. Possibly trying to get grip in their tyres as well, or just trying to see when the corner's coming up. But yeah, actually, I think, come to think of it, I think it's more to do with trying to distract their opponents. But anyway, an interesting sneaking effect going on. And I don't want to miss Reese versus Hammerlink, because again, Hammerlink within half a second of Reese, and when he activates the DRS, this could get very, very close. Down towards turn 1, he's getting close, but we've seen, as into the pits comes Williams, but we've seen how late Reese can brake, and he does it again, fends off Hammerlink. Hammerlink technically brakes slightly later there, but Reese was wise to it. Oh! Was that Schilder? Oh, it's Schilder! Schilder's in the barrier! He speared off, and that's one of the fastest accidents I've seen happen at that corner. No idea why that happened. Maybe he should have pitted when Williams did, because Williams came in and Schilder didn't. And Schilder has just speared into the barrier at ridiculously high speed. If this was real life, I don't know about continuing in this race. I think he'd probably need an ambulance for that. But yeah, Schilder, oh, and a big twitch as well. So his rear tyres are probably toast right now. He's almost going 3 wide with Omlu and Pelkmans. And Younger is past him, Magziah is past him. He's got all that hard work to do again, but he's got, well, bigger things to worry about right now, because he's off the road. He's been passed by Peltmans, he's been passed by Omlu, and that could be Schilder's last chance of winning this race gone, Ross.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to happen is a spin. Obviously, he's been fighting his way back up, and now just it's disaster for Schilder here from the pole. Just falling backwards further and further. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him dart into the pits after this. Those tyres will be absolutely baked. And not baked in the good way, baked as in they're too hot to drive on. Let's see what he does coming off that last corner, and yes, he is going to come into the pits on this lap. A very smart move there from Schilder. He's, I assume he'll be coming onto a different compound. Obviously, it's mandatory that you do stop for a different compound in both splits. So I'm sure we'll be seeing him onto a different compound, and perhaps trying to run a bit longer in this second stint because of that accident. We'll just have to see what he can do.
Now, in the Challenger race, we weren't quite sure if it was showing us the right tyre compound at all times, but that is in fact the C3 that Schilder is on there. So I presume that is showing us the right tyre compound. That's what we'd expect. But anyway, let's watch Reese and Hammerlink, because they are still scrapping over the lead. They were very close down into turn 1 again. But both of these drivers will have to pit soon as well. If I was Hammerlink, that would be at the forefront of my mind. You don't want to get held up behind a driver like this, and often you can undercut them by getting that 1 lap more on fresher tyres. So let's see if that's what they do. Reese, of course, could also cover off Hammerlink, but he's in a tougher situation, because if he does come in to try to cover off Hammerlink, it could have the unintended effect of giving Hammerlink some clean air, and Hammerlink pits. So Hammerlink pits, and it looks, he left it rather late there, so I wonder whether he was maybe boxing opposite Reese, whether he was waiting to see whether Reese pitted or not to decide what to do. Hammerlink stopping in his box, and he will go on to, oh, that's the C2, so that's an even harder compound there for Max Hammerlink. And as he exits the pits, we'll see what he does. I'm going to try to, let's compare his lap times with Schilder's for a while, because that will be C3 versus C2. And, oh, no! Oh, he's touched! Look at that! He's touched Mortiferum! He's come out side by side with Mortiferum, and we had a Stroll-Sainz situation, as there just wasn't enough room for the both of them. And that, I would say, has to be the responsibility of the driver coming out of the pits. You've got to slot in cleanly, and Mortiferum's pulling off the road, and he's out the race. Look at that, Mortiferum going back to the pit lane, and I'm afraid that is in the hands of Max Hammerlink. Sorry to say, it's an easy mistake to make, but that is your fault. If you're coming out of the pits and you make contact with someone, you've got to take responsibility for that.
Yeah, disaster for Max Hammerlink as well, because that would have delayed him time. He really needed a strong outlap. I'm sure we'll be seeing Reese coming in the next few laps, and he would have wanted to do the strongest possible outlap possible to try and undercut Reese in the pits.
Yeah, and Hamlink's going to be
him as
held.
well. That's not what he wanted at all.
Hamlink's going to be held up by that, and he's going to be held up even more by the fact he's got a driver right in front of him there. That's Dave Brave. Reese is in the pits as we speak. Let's just watch this move to see if it goes cleanly. Yes, it does. Hamlink passing Dave Brave. So Paul Magza now leads the race. Reese on another set of the C4s, unless it hasn't updated for me. But yeah, Reese looks as if he's on another set of the C4s. Young is on the C3s. Joseph Coate also in the pits, and he goes on to C3. And those are of course one harder than the C4s, but one softer than the C2s. Magza stayed out and Omlu stayed out, so they are the top two on the road right now, and the last two that we're waiting for. Definitely the last two in terms of the competitive race to pit for new tyres. But anyway. So, the first pit window coming to a close, and Schilder's in the pits again. He may well be out of the race here. Schilder still got his engine running, but I don't know. Okay, I think Schilder may be out here. So Schilder, who we saw having all sorts of issues, we saw going into the wall heavily, may have just called enough here. And last season's champion, his defense is off to... Yeah, and he's out. Look at that, disconnected from the server, and his defense is off to the worst possible start, Russ.
Yeah, that is a disaster for Schilder. You know, it's the first race of the season. Obviously, you cannot win a championship at one race, but you know, you really want to make a really strong first appearance. You want to stake your claim. You want to prove that you're a worthy champion and you're here for the title defense. And not only is this not good for his points scenario, but it's also not good for his mental state as well. You know, in your mind, you know, this is the first round. You've just got pole by 4 cents of a second, and you're out of the race. That's going to destroy you mentally.
Omlu's
and
spun in the pits.
Well.
Omlu's had a spin in the pit lane. He's pacing backwards. That's rare.
That's a disaster for Omlu.
Yeah, that's going to cost him all sorts of time, and he's bouncing off the walls trying to get it in the right direction as well. That's very rare. But anyway, I presume what happened is he tried to brake too late and he goes onto the C2s, and had to lock up the tyres in compensation, and the car just ended up looping around on itself. That often happens when you try to brake heavily, but yeah, my goodness. Also, Paul Magza stayed out, so he is going very long on these C4s, and he will lead this race for another time around, but he's losing time to Reese behind, showing that his tyres will have gone off by this stage. Ermas Reese will convincingly lead, well, I say convincingly, he's only got 2 seconds over Max Hammerling, but that's more convincing than it was before. He'll lead this race anyway, as soon as Magza comes into the pits. And we'll see what happens in the rest of the race from then. Dave Brave, incidentally, the reason he stayed out for so long and the reason he is holding up Williams is because he started on the C3 compound. So we weren't entirely right in saying that Turner was the only driver on C3 in qualifying. It looks as if some other drivers were as well. Williams will be going around the outside of him, but actually I'm not sure he will, because Brave does have a claim to this corner and bravely fends off Oscar Williams. As Mochalenko now. Mochalenko with the slipstream, with the DRS. Someone heading into the pits in the background. I think that's Dave Southwood on the C3s. And yeah, it would be rather cheeky for Mochalenko to attack Williams, considering he is also yet to stop. But again, he's on the same lap as him, so has every right to do so. And this will be holding up Oscar Williams. DRS active, but still no overtake there. And Paul Magza stayed out for another. Oh my goodness! And wheel banging there, Williams and Brave. But yeah, Magza stays out for another time of asking, loses another couple of seconds to Reese. So I'm afraid that that lead is rather temporary for Paul Magza. Down towards turn 10. This chain of 3. Brave, Williams, and Mochalenko crucify there, getting a little crossed off in the background. Up through the S's. And towards the end of this lap. Bleeding time. All the time. Now this lap, the question is going to be about whether Magza pits or not. He's completed the lap, but is he in the... He stayed out again, goodness me. He's definitely on the C4s. Williams now getting a run on Brave. And he will need to pull this move. He is, as I said, bleeding time. Going through on the inside and makes it stick. Okay, so Williams finally through to P4. Marchelenko not able to follow him through either. Now, almost Reese there set the fastest lap that last time around, showing that it's not ideal to be on the C4s anymore. Well, sorry, no, on older C4s anymore. Reese, of course, is on C4s, but newer ones. And Magzar, of course, still out there on the older tyres and continually dropping back towards Hermes Reese. If he continues at this rate, he might be passed even before his pit stop. What do you make of this, Ross? Why do you reckon he is stayed out for so long? And do you reckon it's going to work for him?
I mean, Magzai didn't qualify, I think, as high as he had liked, and I think he's basically found himself in this position, and he's going, you know what, I'm gonna hold on to this as long as I can. I think he's gonna see how far he can take those tyres, because I think if he'd
yeah. Well, if you think about it,
C2, he's very much going to the end, I believe. But you know, we're 16 laps into this race. And Magzar is still going around on the old C4s, so there is every possibility. I think he might be trying to perhaps try and squeeze those tyres out and go on to mediums to the end, maybe.
Well, there you go. He's on the C3s now, and Hermes Reese once again leads this race. So Magzar, I believe, is on a one-stop strategy here because he only has 20 laps to the end, and that is probably doable on the C3s. It's going to be tough because some of the, I mean. Actually, it'll be interesting to see what Brave and Marchelenko do here, whether they last 20 laps from the start of the race on the C3s, because that will shed light on whether it's viable for Magzar to do it from or to the end. Of course, it's easier to do it to the end than from the start because the car will be lighter and therefore slightly easier on the tyres. But yeah, a very, very alternate strategy for Paul Magzar. It's risky, but sometimes you've got to take risks in motor racing, and the fact that he's come out in 6th place actually shows that he didn't lose as much as it looked like he was losing. He's right in front of Max Younger, but may be able to hold him off for the time being. So Mag's in a decent position, but it really does depend on what those tyres are like by the end of this race for us. Okay, I'm not sure if we can hear Ross anymore, but yeah. We've lost Badr Al Babalal from the race, so that's another retirement.
He can drag the T4s out for that long, and as you mentioned, another retirement there. But yeah, Reese has to stop again. Williams likely won't. He's on the C2s. He's on the hardest compound that is competitive around here. I think he's going to the end, and Hammerlink, if he can get those tyres to the end, I think he could very much be with a shout of a victory here, given Reese's strategy difference.
DNF for Stein Prince. Now, it's interesting to see that Marchelenko has gone on to the C2s, because he, of course, came into the pits later than Magzar, and yet has gone onto a tougher compound. However, as soon as I started saying that, I realised that is, of course, because you have to use more than one compound of tyre throughout the course of this race. So, of course, he would have to do that, and there's contact there with Christoph Berzer. Round goes Marchelenko. Berzer gets away with it nicely. His car looked pretty stable the whole way through that, but yeah, Berzer is coming around the outside of Marchelenko, and they touch. So a bit of a spin there, and that won't do his new tyres any good whatsoever. But yeah, he recovers on his way and won't have too much damage from that, aside from potentially tyre damage. But anyway, the race continues. We're into the last 20 minutes now. Let's see who's remaining in this race, because we just lost Stein Prince, of course, and Badr Al Babalal. Andres Schilder is out, and then there must also be 2 other drivers who are out who we can't see, because there were 25 who started and only 23 were listed there. There are 21 still in the race, I think. Or is it 20? Yeah, 20 drivers still remaining in this race. The last of those being Carlos Scomanas, the first of those being Hermes Reese. And the... oh! And Reese is off! Reese is off the road! Reese is miles off the road. He's rejoined, but Hammerlink leads. So Hammerlink leads by 3 seconds. Reese has had a big loss of time. It looks as if he'd spun, because you don't normally go that far off. And lighting up the rear tyres. I reckon they've gone off here. Now, if I was Reese, I would probably be thinking about stopping for harder tyres, because now would be the time to do it, right when you've overheated your tyres and potentially damaged your car if you've hit something. But yeah, almost Reese there. Drama from the lead of the race. He'd been doing so well, hadn't put a wheel wrong, and now it's all in Hammerlink's court. It's his to lose, Russ.
It is indeed. Hammerlink on those C2s. You know, he can go to the end on those. Reese has to pit again, and now Reese, you know, burning through those tyres, driving that spin. Let's see if he dives into the pits, and he is going to dive into the pits. So Reese in. Hammerlink now controls this race. Absolute drama here at Bahrain. This is not what Reese wanted to happen at all. And Hammerlink, this race has just fallen into the palm of his hand. He can take those tyres to the end so easily. He's got a gap to Oscar Williams. It's a big gap to Oscar Williams. Reese has to pit again and has to put in some monster laps to catch up to Hammerlink. This is really gone Max's way.
17 laps on T3s, it's definitely possible. Now, he did need to stop. Oh, is Max there side by side with Younger and gets out ahead. But yeah, as I was going to say, he did need to stop again anyway, but he wouldn't have wanted his hand to have been forced like that. Max fending off Younger, and Dave Brave still fighting with them despite not having stopped yet. Dave Brave has indeed run 20 laps on those C3s, so that's a good sign for Paul Magza, who's gone through that. But yeah, of course, it's one thing to run that long, and another thing to be competitive for that long. I'm not sure exactly how his lap times match up against the lap times that he'd already been doing. But yeah, absolute drama for Amos Reese. And I didn't see what happened there, whether there was a backmarker involved, whether he spun, whether he hit something, but whatever the case. The result is the same. He is down to 6th position as it stands, with 9 seconds to make up before he passes Dave Brave. Of course, Brave still yet to stop, and his eventual position is thus far unclear. It all depends on who still has to stop and where they come out. I would say he is probably 2nd or 3rd at this point in time, but that is in the effective order, the net order, and for the time being running P6. So after the first 20 laps of the race, the first 21 laps of the race, Max Hammerlink is leading by 9.4 seconds over Oscar Williams. Then it's Paul Magza, Max Younger, Dave Brave, who is yet to stop, Amos Reese, Joseph Coate, Connor Pelkmans, Alex Cochran, then Christoph Perzer, Tim Omlu, let me see if I can remember his first name. Is it Vladimir Mochalenko? It's something Mochalenko, but anyway, Vladislav Mochalenko, very close. And he is just ahead of this, well, a bit of a fight there actually. Mochalenko, then Halligan, and look at Dave Southwood up the inside. Oh, close, backs out of it. But yeah, Southwood in and amongst that scrap. Colombo Crucifier is P15, running right behind them as well. And then out of the top 15 are Cyprian Stoyan, Simon Benoit, Jordi Lawes, who has made up a couple of positions after being the first driver to have an incident. Then it's Dave Ball and Carlos Skermanis. So that's how they stand after the first 21 or 22 laps of this race. Still 15 laps to go, so we're over halfway through, but still not quite in the closing stages of this race. And personal best laps for both Magza and Younger and Brave. Wow, interesting to see Dave Brave setting a personal best. But yeah, personal best for both Magza and Younger. So both of those pushing each other in this fight for 3rd. Absolutely flying. Fastest lap of anyone for Amos Reese on those fresh C3s. So he is flying as well. And he gained 3 seconds on Dave Brave ahead of him on that last lap, despite Brave setting his personal best lap of this race. So right now it's push, push, push wherever you look in the top 10, Russ. Okay, not sure if you can still hear me, Ross, but anyway.
Sorry, did you say something? I was having a brief moment of cutting out.
Oh, again? Okay. Yeah, technical technical issues not on our side today, or well, I presume I suppose they are on our side, but not not in the way we would like. But yeah, no, I was just saying it's push, push, push everywhere you look. We've got personal bests up and down the field. Magza, Younger, Brave, Reese, they're all going faster than they've been at any other point in this race.
I mean, obviously, yeah, at this stage in the race, for most of these drivers, they've made their last stops. Hamilton and Williams both on the C2s going to the end. And the track evolution, it's basically as fast as the game's going to allow it to get. The fuel's going down.
And once again, a little bit of a...
So, yeah, at this point, it is just put in the lap, stay consistent, go as fast as you can, hope the person behind isn't going faster, and hold station till the end of the race.
The character weird. It's almost like it's doing 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off. That's bizarre. Anyway, whatever. Back to the race. Magza and Younger still fighting, still third and fourth, and we presume both going to the end of this race. I'm not entirely sure about Younger. I don't know. I can't quite recall when he stopped. Magza almost definitely. He can push to the not necessarily push to the end, but he can definitely go to the end here. But yeah, this fight for third important for the eventual result. Do you recall when Younger stopped and yeah, do you recall when Younger stopped?
Not the precise lap, no, sorry.
That's okay.
It was I believe Younger stopped, I believe it was near the start of the pit window, so he's been on those C3s for quite some time, I believe. Anyway,
so Max Hammerlink, meanwhile, has built out a 10-second lead over Oscar Williams, so it really is his race to lose at this point. It's almost dominant from Hammerlink now. You'd be forgiven for thinking that this had been an easy race, but it's crazy to think that at the start we were convinced that Schilder was going to win it. He took pole by over 0.3 of a second. Schilder was far from winning it. And then almost Reese, of course, led from... Oh, and talking of Reese, another fastest lap. He's been setting fastest lap after fastest lap the whole way through this race. 128.362. That'd put him in the top 15 in qualifying, I think. But anyway... And he is now only a second behind Dave Brave. That's going to be a relatively easy pass, I would expect. No disrespect to Dave Brave, but Reese is going a lot faster at this point in the race, especially considering that Brave is still yet to stop. I presume that Brave is trying to leave it out and go on to the C4s. But yeah, this is extremely quick for Reese. He's catching hand over fist. And he's going to get him before the end of this lap at this rate. Look at this. Down the back straight, DRS open. And I'm not sure he's going to quite get him here, but he's going to be so close to him through the S's. It's going to be messing with his aero. And he's going to be sufficiently frustrated to simply fly past Brave on the exit. Look at that! Wow, in the second part of the hill section. Brilliant move, just has so much more grip. I pulled that move in a GT car once, but I didn't know it was that possible in a Formula 1 style hybrid. Goodness me. So Reese makes the move and Brave into the pits. Brave at last. And that's a 25 lap stint, so a fantastically long stint on the softs. Maybe left it out a little too long, but well, that depends on how he does in the remaining few laps of the race. Goes on to the C4s. No surprise there, and he will run to the end. I'm interested to see where he comes out, actually, because Brave is definitely a top 10 contender. He's out of the top 10 for the time being. Omlu's gone through, Wachelenko's gone through, Southwood's gone through. But it's not over yet for Brave. I reckon he could still get a top 10 here, especially considering he will be absolutely flying on those softs. If he could set a 130 on 20 lap old C3s, what can he do on brand new C4s, Ross?
Well, obviously, the C4s being the fastest usable race tire, the C5s could probably do about a lap before you find yourself in a wall upside down. But yeah, obviously with the lower fuel as well, he'll be able to push them a bit more harder without the risk of them overheating. So we just have to see what he can do. It's a bit of a gap to the cars in front, but you know, he's still got a fair few laps left in this race, 12 to be exact. And I'm sure that he's got the pace to push and get some late moves done, put on some late show for us. So yeah, we'll just have to see what he can do on those fresh C4s.
Oscar Williams just set a personal best lap of the race. Younger is in the pits, so he wasn't quite in that battle with third. I thought he may just about have been, but anyway, stops for the C4s, and he will be running to the end of the race. So that does put Reese up into 4th position, and potentially slightly higher than that. We're still waiting to see whether Hammerlink and Williams are still to stop. I expect that they both are, actually. I think Hammerlink and Williams both do need to stop, but as Younger there was close to Berzer on the pit exit. But of course, it's not quite as simple as that, because Hammerlink was already far enough ahead of Reese to potentially make a pit stop and still come out ahead. So it's still a little up in the air and uncertain, and we'll see how it plays out. Also interesting to see that Younger did slightly cross the pit lane, as he had to pass a car on the pit exit. Now I don't know how strict stewards are being about that. I presume there are no automatic penalties for that, but anyway, it was a little close, a little worrying, but I expect they will probably get away with that considering the circumstances, as it's not normal for a car to try to give way to drivers a lap ahead on the pit exit. But anyway, Younger has come out right behind Christoph Berzer, as you saw, and he is probably going to pass him towards the end of this lap. Berzer on older and harder tyres than Younger, and Younger will be absolutely flying towards the end of this race now on those C4 softest compound of tyres. And as he opens DRS now, I expect this will be relatively simple. Joseph Coe into the pits for his last stop. He will probably drop out of the top 10 as a result. There we go, through goes Younger, and he's made up 2 positions in one straight there. So not bad at all. Younger up to 7th.
So it's be interesting to see what Younger can do over these last few laps. No, we were talking about him on those fresh C4s a moment ago, but 2 players on one straight is no mean feat. And he's got the whole track ahead of him, and he's got the freshest rubber, and right now he will be the fastest man out on track. So let's just see what he can do over the rest of this race.
Interesting to see Alex Cochran pushing on those hards there. Cochran, of course, we saw him in the wall after lap 2, and he wasn't running particularly high up the field on lap 1 either. So how he's found it into P6 is beyond me. I feel like he would have stopped for hards relatively early in this race, and he's just pushed the hards from then on. And I don't know whether he's going to the end on those hards or not, but this has been quite an interesting recovery drive from Alex Cochran, and I'm still a little uncertain as to whether it's representative or not, whether he's legitimately a top 10 contender in this race. But I guess we'll see how it sorts itself out. He's right behind Connor Peltman's here, and fighting for position with him. Peltman's another driver who is on a bit of an alternate strategy compared to some of the others around him, and he will have the DRS down the straight. Younger coming with him. Younger setting his personal best lap of the race. Cochrane not quite able to get past Peltman's there. What about on the exit? Power down, DRS open, Younger inbound, and they're almost going to be 3 wide at the end of the straight. That would have been risky. Cochran turns in, and that means that Peltmans has to turn in as well, obviously. And there we go, that's the position gained for Alex Cochran. Not bad at all. P5 for the driver who looked as if he was going to retire in lap 2. And I also noticed the ingenious pun at the end of lap 2 of Nova Spinlandia, considering both of those cars went around at the same corner in 2 laps, but I didn't want to read that out at the time because there was too much going on. Younger there, making a move on Peltmans and getting up into P6, and he will probably find it relatively easy to get past Cochran as well. But yeah, has a second to gain first. Magza, personal best, as he tries to chase down Oscar Williams. Probably doesn't need to. Williams still is probably going to make a stop. Now, one thing that is interesting is that with that lap, Magzar is only about 13 or 14 seconds behind Hammerlink, And Hammerlink is a driver that we are still... Actually, is Hammerlink able to go to the end? Well, he's on C2. Yeah, well, because if he wasn't intending to go to the end, I'd have expected him to go back onto C4s by now. So, Hammerlink running long on those C2s, and yeah, this may actually be representative here. So I think he is leading. But yeah, Williams versus Magzar is a bit more interesting, because Williams, even if he doesn't stop on those hards, is going to come under pressure from the faster Paul Magzar towards the end of the race. And I've just noticed actually that Williams and Hammerlink are both in the same team there, Vermin Racing Team, and as a result I'm starting to wonder whether that is a team strategy there, something that they've come up with together. And as Younger there gets past Cochran, and something they've undoubtedly practiced as well. But yeah, Hammerlink leading from Williams, the two Vermin cars, and then Magzar, of course, gaining relatively quickly, possibly a bit too quickly for Williams' liking. But yeah, interesting strategy there from the Vermin cars. So, Cochran starting to drop back through the field a little. Younger's gone through. Helkman's half a second quicker on that last lap as a result of not being in the same scrap. Tim Omlu coming around the outside of Christoph Berzer. And it'll all be about the switch back there, especially with... Actually, no, that's a lap car behind them, isn't it? Sorry, you were going to say something, Russ?
Nope. I don't think I was.
Okay. I may have just heard you taking an intake of breath or something, but anyway.
Apologies for that.
That's okay, don't worry about it. 7 laps to go in this race. We are into the closing stages. And it's getting interesting up front with Hammerlink and Williams running long on these hard tyres. And Paul Magzar closing in the gap. Williams won't need to employ the wingman strategy here. There's too much of a gap to Hammerlink up ahead. But he will still want to defend for all that he's worth. Because if he can wear out Magzar's tyres, he could still claim that second position. It's difficult to pass in these cars at the best of times. It's a common criticism of Formula 1 style cars that it's difficult to overtake in them. I personally think those criticisms are a little over-exaggerated, but it is still undoubtedly harder to overtake in this style of car than in a lot of other styles of car. Younger once again, personal best lap, and he has an unassailable margin to race up ahead, so really he's just running his own race at this point in time. I'd probably be backing off if I was him, because he's not pressuring anyone or under pressure. Oh, well, Berzer's spun, and there was a separate incident behind him. So Berzer's spun from 8th, and he's dropped out of the top 10. Look at that. Oh, and Klonks the Barrow trying to get going again. That elevates Mochalenko into the top 10. A mistake from Berzer on very old tyres. And as that was happening, I was watching Omlu having an incident with Lawes, who's a lap down from him. It looked as if Lawes may have... I've already forgotten which way round it was, but one of them lost control and touched the other one. But anyway, Christoph Berzer there got off by far the worst, because he has dropped to 14th position. And that is a big shame. Almost raced the fastest lap of the race as he continues to catch the top 3. He could still get a podium here. Paul Magzar is almost... He is in DRS range. Look at that. DRS opens on the back of Paul Magzar's car. So he has caught Oscar Williams. Let the battle commence. Now, Russ, who would you most like to be in this situation? Williams, Magzar, or Rees?
Tough question. I mean, obviously Magzar is sitting pretty comfortably in P3 at the moment and chasing down a potential P2, but Junger's on those C4s. You know, there's still 6 laps to go, but it is quite a gap. Must be said, it is quite a gap to Rees. Reese is in a bit of a no man's land at the moment, it must be said. I mean, if I was going on pure enjoyment factor,
I missed your answer there, Russ. You got out at the wrong time.
even though there's not...
Sorry, I missed your answer there. In terms of your enjoyment factor.
P4s, but realistically, I'd be Magzar sitting in P3 very happily, possibly a P2 on the cards. Yeah, he's looking pretty comfortable up there at the moment.
Okay, I think I got the gist of what you were saying there. Maxi will have the DRS as well, which will make him faster on the straight, and he's faster in general, 0.6 of a second, almost faster than Oscar Williams on the last lap. And let's ride on board with Paul Maxi as he catches Oscar Williams. This is what it looks like to be the hunter. And Williams will know what it feels like to be the hunted. Meanwhile, Tim Onlu has got ahead of... In fact, they're side by side. Let's go and have a look at that quickly. Southwood and Onlu down the straight, and they've got Mochalenko for company. No, that's not Mochalenko, that's Lawes, but Mochalenko is pretty close to them. Southwood on the outside, and going past Tim Onlu for P8. There he goes. And Onlu coming back at him on the exit. Has to back out of it. That was very, very close there, but Southwood, who didn't have the greatest of starts to this race, has been coming out of nowhere. And Lawes there sticking his nose where it's not wanted, but he has every right to do so long as he keeps it clean. Lawes, remember, P19, a whole lap down on Tim Onlu there. But yeah, and Lawes now backing off and letting Mochalenko get through and rejoin this this scrap. But yeah, back to the battle between Williams and Magsa. Back to Hunter Cam, I'm going to call this for the time being. And the DRS will be activated once more. Not much time left in the race now. We're heading on to what will be lap 34. And look at the closing speed. Look at that. Paul Magsa looks as if he deployed the nitrous and went around the outside of Oscar Williams. And there we go. Williams couldn't do anything about it. He's on older tyres. He's on harder tyres. He does have DRS, but couldn't quite come back at Magsa there. So Paul Magsa up into second place. And now all he has to do is break away from Williams and stay there. Hope he hasn't worn out his tyres too much. They are softer, of course, so they do theoretically go off faster. But, yeah, that should pretty much be done and dusted there for Paul Magsa. Great move. And he is driving a very good one-stop race here, Russ. Oh, wait! Oh, that's Williams! Williams is in the wall! He's hit the wall! And he's recovered in fourth, so Magsa... Well, so Reese is through to third. Reese is on the podium. Williams, who was running in the podium positions for so long, has maybe got frustrated, or has worn his tyres out, or something along those lines, or a combination of both. And he's lost the podium in one of the most frustrating ways possible. Look at that, almost raced back into the podium positions. And that's got to be gutting, Russ.
Oh, absolute disaster for Williams there. I do feel from he's probably kicking himself in his virtual cockpit right now. Obviously, you know, just overtaken by Paul Magsa, and I'm sure he was just desperate to try and catch him up. Just maybe just on the throttle a bit too hard out of 10. Just loop the car, you know, 1,000 horsepower, it's quite a lot to put through two wheels. Yeah, I do feel for him, you know, P4's not a bad position, but, you know, when there's a podium easily on the cards and you throw it away like that, it is tough to stomach. So, yeah, unfortunate there for Williams, but I'm sure Reese is absolutely laughing all the way to the sweet shop with that one. That's a free position up to the podium place. And it's still 3 laps to chase down Magsa and possibly get second place, which would be a great comeback for Reese after those earlier incidents.
Absolutely, we just saw Tim Onlu lapping his teammate Carlos Germanis. He is still in this fight with Dave Southwood here, and has been gaining on. Oh, and Southwood's lost it. Look at that, Southwood, another driver to become a victim of turn 4, but actually a really good save there. Gathers it up much quicker than a lot of other drivers who have made the similar mistake. But yeah, Southwood there losing 8th place to Onlu, who would have been expecting a fight, but had it handed to him on a plate. And as Lawes and Skermanis there battle for 18th behind, and Skermanis is sideways on the track. Let's watch him quickly to make sure he can rejoin safely, and he does. But yeah. Now, one thing I'm not sure about in this actually, do points go down to 10th place or 15th place? Because in the Sprint Series it was 15th, and in Formula 1 it's 10th. Do you know which one it is, Ross? Or?
It is 10th.
10th place, okay, thank you for that.
It's 10th place. It's a Formula 1 par points system, 25 for the winner, 18 for second, 15 for third, so on and so forth. Down to 1 for 10th. I do not believe there's a point for fastest lap. Correct me if I'm wrong there. No points for opposition, obviously. All the rest of the rules are pretty similar to Formula 1's.
Well, in that case, we've got a three-way battle for the final points-paying position with Mochalenko, Brave, and Kurt here. Brave and Kurt, of course, teammates for Volpino Racing. Just noticed the Antoine Hubert sticker on the side of the airbox as well. That's a nice gesture. But anyway, Kurt getting past Jordi Lawes, who is still, of course, a lap down. But yeah, these three going at it for the final points-paying position. And Brave was within DRS range, just slightly dropped out of it again, giving DRS to his teammate, maybe slightly involuntarily. Final lap now for Max Hammerlink, and let's watch him as he comes up the hill for the final time. He's been, well, he hasn't really been on the camera since the incident for Reese, because we haven't really needed to show him. He's been running away, leading by 14 seconds, and just doing everything that he's needed to do. And you've seen how busy the track has been in other places throughout the course of this race, but Hammerlink has just avoided all of that because he's been too far ahead. The rest of the pack's been squabbling. Hammerlink has been hitting his marks, corner after corner, just driving his own race. And sometimes those are the most boring races, sometimes those are the most enjoyable because you don't have to worry about anything. They can almost be a stress reliever, almost therapeutic. And Max Hammerlink will breathe a sigh of relief as he crosses the start-finish line this time around. One corner to go for a dominant driver. He was only second in qualifying, but his race pace has been superb. I don't think I've seen him make a single mistake. And that is a victory for Max Hammerlink. Look at that, fantastic drive. And it's going to be almost 15 seconds ahead of Paul Magzar at the end of it. It is going to be a double podium for that team. Let me see if I can find the official team name quickly. But yeah, Magzar finishes second place ahead of Ermas Rees. And does donuts. Look at that. That's great to see. They are GRG Racing Pro. That's the name of that team. And they have now crashed into each other, but that's okay because the race is already finished. Oscar Williams P4, Maximilian Younger P5. Alex Cochran was indeed P6. Amazing recovery drive from Alex there. Really, really good. Connor Peltmans, also really good drive from him. Tim Omlu P8, Dave Southwood P9. Vladislav Mochalenko claims the final point in 10th position, holding off to Brave and Kurt. And, well, we're lucky that's sim racing. Columba Crucifier P13 there. Are we about to see another one? Yes, we are. Look at that. Bang Crash Wallop. Christopher Berzer 14th. David Halligan 15th. Cyprian Stoyan, last year's Challenger Split champion. Simon Benoit is P17. Jordi Lawes P18. Then it's Carlos Skermanis and David Bull. And everyone behind these 20 drivers failed to finish the race. Amazing drive from Max Hammerlink. Absolutely dominant. Driver of the day. No questions asked. Paul Magzar and Ermas Rees also very, very good for their own respective team, GRG Racing Pro. If there's such thing as team of the day, then GRG Racing Pro would be that. And also special mentions to Reese for, of course, leading the race for so long, and Andreas Schilder, who retired and didn't do so well in the race, but his qualifying pace was simply superb. And if he can get his race sorted out, then he should be very competitive. for the rest of the season. So that's the lot then. That is the Masters split. Now I don't know if we're going to get interviews or not. I think we're going to wait around for a little while to check. Oh yeah, there are a couple of people waiting for interviews. But first of all, Russ, what a race we've just witnessed. What were your key points from that? What are you going to take away from that?
Well, it was drama from start to finish. I mean, it was different from the Challenger split in the Challenger split was not more about keeping it on the road in the hot weather. This was a lot more about strategy and how it played up. Obviously, we saw the Max Hammerlink obviously kind of on that one stop, just kind of, more on-track action. There was a lot more wheel-to-wheel racing going on. That was exciting to see. Overall, I think a good start to the season. I mean, obviously, it could have been a lot better for some drivers. Obviously, Andreas Schilder, that's not the way he wanted his title defense to start off. But overall, I think everyone is going to be reasonably satisfied with where they finished. I think the win was well deserved for Max Hammerlink, and I think overall that was a very good race.
Right, yeah, let's bring in Max Junger. Max, do you hear us?
Hello.
Hello, Maxie. So, first of all, P5, that is a pretty good result, especially for the first round of a season.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty decent. I'm content with that result. It could have been better. I just messed it up a little bit, but hey ho, goes sometime.
Well, P5 still, that's that's more than most people can ask for. What do you feel? How does the new car feel? How is it running compared to the cars that we were racing last season? And what does it take to be quick in this?
I much prefer this to what we ran the previous season. It has a lot more downforce. It's you can throw it in a lot more. But today was a bit difficult because of the temperatures. I think I'm sure it was mentioned before. Well, it was not easy to drive. A lot of slides on the rear and stuff like that. A lot of tire wear. But yeah, all in all, I like the car a lot. I prefer it to last season quite a lot.
Well, so I'd like you to reiterate something that you were telling me off camera before the broadcast started. You were saying how you actually preferred the harder tire to the softer tire. Can you explain why that was, and do you still feel that way after the race?
Well, I didn't get a chance to try the harder tire because I accidentally set it to the wrong one coming into the pit. If you saw my strategy, but it was a soft, medium soft, instead of soft to hard, like a one stop. I did a two stop instead of a one stop, so I lost so much ground to the podium.
That's an interesting error.
Tire. But it was interesting.
I've just realised I think the colours might actually be on my end because you just cut out there for me as well, Maxie. But anyway, congrats on your P5 anyway. Not bad at all.
Thank you.
And good luck in the future rounds.
Thank you, Maxie.
Okay, let's bring... Actually, just quickly, Russ, did Maxie cut out for you there as well, or was it just me?
Yes, he did. It might be a Discord server problem.
Yes, okay,
maybe.
that's
we'll sort it for the next race, everybody.
Right, let's bring in Connor Peltmans, another of our top 10 finishers. Connor, not bad for you at all. How do you feel? Well, first of all, do you hear us? We don't hear you, Connor. So if you're speaking, then there's an issue. Okay, well, I don't think we do have Connor Peltmans, but anyway, it looked as if he was going to be here. Whatever the case, I think that is the end of our... Oh, Connor?
Is that working now?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
now we have Connor.
Okay, there we go.
Connor, P7. Not bad. How do you feel?
Not too bad. I was a bit slow on the C2 tires at the end there, but I feel overall it was a pretty good race. Got a decent start, overtook a few guys, and it was just fighting with Joseph from there.
Well, you were a bit further down the field in qualifying, P12, so you had to make up 5 positions in that. What do you think was the the biggest factor in making up those 5 positions?
Just staying consistent, honestly. People around me were making mistakes and spinning, so staying consistent was the key there.
Okie dokie. And how are you feeling about the rest of the season? What do you think are your aspirations for it?
Just doing well.
Doing well. Fantastic. Well, you did well today. P7, not bad at all. And thank you for speaking to us.
All right. Have a good time, guys.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Connor.
you
See you
very
later,
much.
mate.
See ya.
And last but not least, let's quickly bring in Alex Cochran, who did a pretty decent job today. Alex, you finished P6. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I completely messed up. A decent-ish first lap, and then lap 2, I was facing the wrong way. I was out of turn 10, I think. So, yeah, it didn't go too well at the start, but then bolted the C2s on, and
Yeah, I was about to say it was you who had the mega recovery drive, wasn't it? So did you literally just run the majority of the race on that hard tire?
I think from lap 7 or 9, I can't remember.
So 30 laps. Wow, 30 laps on the hard tire.
Yeah, off made a mistake in front of me, and I decided to pit to try and get the undercut, and then I just kept them on for the rest of the race, and they were okay.
What strategy were you initially planning on going for, and do you think it would have been better, or are you glad you went for this?
I was going with the same strategy actually, but I was going to pit much later, around lap 15. But I think I managed to undercut a lot of cars because of pitting early, so it paid off really.
It was a really, really good recovery drive. Actually, I was impressed. But yeah. And last but not least, you excited for the rest of the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the grid is the biggest grid we've ever had.
Yeah.
Some of the drivers we've ever had, and the splits in qualifying were ridiculously close. I think it was 4 tenths from P8 to P20 or something. So
the grid is very, very good. 25 cars set qualifying laps instead of the race today. That is quite something. But anyway, thank you for talking to us, Alex, and yeah, good luck.
Streaming.
Right here again, we have to apologise for the cutting out. I know that it wasn't really our fault, but you know, sometimes these things happen, and it doesn't make for a great interview. But you just have to put up with that. Ross, thank you very much for joining me today. I very much hope you enjoyed your first Formula Trout commentary, and thank you all for watching as well. That goes to everyone on Twitch and YouTube, and I hope that you will all join us for the next round, which will take place, if I'm not very much mistaken, correct me if I am, in 2 weeks' time. Please say I'm not wrong.
You are not wrong. 2 weeks'
Yay.
time, Red Bull Ring, 27th of February. Be there or be square.
Fantastic, and I am certainly not planning on going square anytime soon. Okay, thank you all very much for watching, and good night.